Welcome to the Innovating Together podcast. I'm your host, Bridget Burns with the University Innovation Alliance. Today, I am so excited to welcome you to an episode that is, it's going to be short, sweet, dynamic, inspiring, and exactly what you need to hear. It's going to be featuring someone who is just a really, just a bolt of lightning. She is so inspiring and so hopeful and optimistic and smart and someone who we've loved being able to work with her. And she is at Iowa State, and her name is Dr. Toyia Younger, and I can't wait to hear what you think about this episode. So she provided an ed talk at the UIA National Summit, and it was one of the ones that everyone was talking about. So I'm really excited to share this. So first, you should know that Weekly Wisdom and the Innovating Together podcast are both sponsored by Mainstay, which is a student engagement retention platform that has really built the tools to help institutions not just be reactive, but actually anticipatory and intervene. And you can learn more at mainstay.com. We are also supported by Carnegie Corporation of New York, longtime partners and friends of the UIA, who we're eminently grateful for. But now, this talk is so wonderful, and she came on. It was just such a she's just such a breath of fresh air, and it was really about the topic that we really needed someone to talk about. We needed them to speak up to the issue from not just a space of working in that space, but of deep expertise. And she brought it, and it was on the topic of transfer. And she talked about how transfer is the power. It provides the power to unlock social mobility. And she shares her personal journey from her early days working in student affairs and becoming a national voice for transfer success and being part of the NIST, the National Institute for the Study of Transfer. She unpacks a really critical but often overlooked reality, which is we can't talk about mobility in higher ed without actually talking about and changing how we support transfer students. She challenged us, and she provided a rallying cry. So I'm super excited for you to hear this. And some of the quotes that I loved from her talk was, I thought I was going to help students, but they ended up teaching me more than I ever could imagine. I saw their grades. I knew they were academically prepared. So why were they coming back to the community college? And wouldn't it be helpful if institutions actually shared what's working when it comes to transfer? So I feel like these are all the right ideas to give you a sense of what's in store. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Toyia Younger from Iowa State University.
Picture it, Sicily, 1932. Okay, it probably wasn't Sicily, and I wasn't born in 1932, but you see, just play along with me. You got it? We got it. It was actually Rockville, Maryland in 2001. And this young, fashionably dressed, new professional gets her first job post-master's working as director of student activities at a community college. Now, I'll be honest, she was young. She was naive. She probably had brought into some of the stereotypes that people thought, because clearly community colleges were 13th grade, right? Isn't that what folks were thinking? That community college were for people who, unlike myself, couldn't get into Michigan State University. And so when I entered that job, I thought I was going to go in and help students and teach students, but they ended up teaching me more than I can ever imagine. I was overwhelmed and overcome with the breadth and the depth of the knowledge and the skills and the talent that was found at our community colleges. And so I began to work with them over the years while I was there. And I know some of y'all are young, so y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but I was helping them with these paper applications they used to have to fill out, right? And many of them indicated that they wanted to transfer, most to the flagship university. And so I worked with them and I helped them fill out the applications, and we celebrated as they got accepted to the four-year institution. We were excited. Yet 6 to 12 months later, those same students returned to my office at the community college. What was going on? I couldn't understand it. I saw their grades. I knew they were academically prepared, But why were they coming back to the community college? So fast forward, picture it. College Park, Maryland, 2005. Little bit smart, little bit smarter, still fashionably dressed. And now I'm a doctoral student. And I still couldn't understand why those transfer students kept coming back and returning to the community college. So I decided that's what I want to study. I want to understand and learn about transfer students. Now, I had the best dissertation advisor in the world. She was amazing, but she wasn't an expert on transfer. Many people at that time were not. So I did what every super smart doctoral student or student across the board does. I turned to Google. And I literally, this is a true story, I typed in, who is doing research on transfer students? And to my surprise, the first thing that popped up was NISTS, the National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students. They're my people. And so I was so excited because I had found my folks. I had found the people who were passionate about the same work that I was doing. And so I went to their convenings and I went to their meetings and I learned more and more from scholars and researchers and practitioners who were doing that work at that conference. But the biggest takeaway that I learned in that moment was we cannot do this work by ourselves. And so while I was working with the Institute, I applied for a grant, received a grant, and was able to use that money to transcribe my interviews with transfer students for my dissertation. And so I owe a lot of credit to them. They have mastered the thought of collaboration and coming together and promoting this work. And so I will always forever be grateful for that work. So now let's picture it, Tempe, Arizona, 2024. Now that same girl dresses, but she done put on a little bit of weight. She got a few little more gray hairs than you anticipated. But the real question now is, what are we doing as a collective? As I mentioned, we cannot do this work alone. That's why I'm here. I have a demonstration happening on campus as we speak. But I understood that as senior vice president, it was important to be here with you all, to gather, so that we can brainstorm on things and ideas, particularly as it pertains to transfer students. We've had all sorts of wonderful presentations thus far. We've talked about everything from the perceptions of higher ed. We talked about the gaps between our Black students and white students. We had an amazing keynote just yesterday talking about social mobility. But I beg to answer the question, we cannot have a conversation about social mobility without talking about transfer. It's not possible. And so that's why we're here today. This is why I'm a part of UIA, because it's an opportunity for us to gather, not only with individuals and institutions that are part of the Alliance, but with all of you, representing colleges and universities all across the country, so that we can collectively come together and solve this mystery of transfer. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that there are many institutions out there doing great work, but wouldn't it be helpful if they shared it? If we saw the work that they were doing and tried to replicate it, or at least make it fit with what we're doing on our own respective campuses? And so my charge for you today, right now, right in the middle of National Transfer Student Week, that we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. Don't tell me how committed you are to transfer students when you got 2 people doing transfer at an institution with 30,000 people. Don't come at me talking about all you're doing for transfer students when your orientation for first-year freshmen are off the charts. We got drones and fireworks and everything else, but then when we do transfer student orientation, it's 4 hours. And so while I have moved away from the work that I have done, transfer will always hold a special place in my heart. And so for those of you who are doing this work, I want to encourage you, keep fighting the fight, keep doing the research, keep trying to figure out how you can implement new and innovative programs on your campus. But guess what? Let's do it together. Why? Because together we go farther. Thank you.